Today I'm going to the seaside. Not to build sandcastles or go swimming. I'm going to take this, my Piper Turbo Arrow aeroplane, and land it on a beach, perfectly intentionally and within the law. Welcome to the Flying Reporter. I love trying new things as a pilot, visiting new places and pushing myself. And today I'm ticking off a bucket list item. I'm flying to Barra Airport in Scotland. It's on an island in the Outer Hebrides, and it's the only place in the world where scheduled flights land and take off from a public beach.
The surface is wet with large areas of standing water.
Coming up, you'll see that the unique setting brings with it considerable challenges.
The tide is just at the threshold of runway 25 now, and there is bird activity down at the end of runway 07.
And my handling of the approach leaves me in shame.
Well, where's the runway? You're here, John. Yeah. The runway's behind you, mate. Look there.
Hold on tight. This is going to be a bumpy ride. If you haven't flown around these parts before, you really must. Scotland offers some of the best flying in the UK. Well, when the weather's like this, that is. We took off from Oban Airport and routed past the Isle of Mull before making the substantial water crossing. Our flight to Barra is around 90 miles.
I brought my good friend John along with me for the ride.
Hello, everybody.
And that's because I have a very important job for John that he's very experienced at for you to do later on.
They're going to share that information with me?
Nope. It's a surprise.
I've no doubt it's an integral part of today's mission.
It will be a very, very vital and important part of the mission. John's a pilot as well, and he's helping me out on this trip. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit nervous about this trip. I wonder why.
Well, I've no idea. I can't imagine. It's very straightforward to me.
Because we're landing on beaches all the time, of course. Not. The problem at the moment is the tide is very high. We're landing not far off high tide as it recedes. So the runway is likely to be a bit wet. So that's the first thing. And secondly, it's sand, so it's going to be soft. And thirdly, my poor aeroplane. My poor aeroplane is probably going to be covered in salt, sand, God knows what else.
We better not stay long because it might dissolve before we go to take off.
Going to change the registration number to G Rust after this.
There's nowhere else I know where the most important things you're going to think about the approach is where the tide is.
In preparation for this flight, I've spoken to the FISO on duty today, an essential part of a pre-flight briefing here. She tells me that there's a particularly high tide today and it's taking longer than usual to recede. They have 3 runways, 15 and 33, 11 and 29 and 25 and 07. I'm expecting them to be on runway 07 today. The airport has sent me some photographs so I can try and orientate myself. They use non-standard runway identifiers, just an orange marker and a number sign at each threshold. There are no other runway markings at all. My focus has been on what type of approach I'm going to make and how to manage my touchdown.
There's the soft field approach, right? It's sand, it's wet, it's soft, so that figures. But if there's standing water, as there often is,
Yep.
I kind of don't want a hydroplane on that. So if I do a nice soft landing, are the wheels going to not penetrate the water layer?
I just think it's a harder landing, which I hope is correct. And you're going to stop quickly because the drag on the main gear once you touch down is going to be considerable. The nose wheel is going to want to drop quickly.
I think it's a positive landing.
Yep.
And nose wheel up as much as I can.
Yeah.
And then keep moving, I'd have thought, because if we don't want to get stuck halfway down the beach, so keep moving, I think, not stop anywhere.
No, I think you want to keep moving till there's a hard ground.
There are some other hazards. I mean, it looks like they're on runway 07 today, so there's quite a bit of terrain on the final approach. So it's going to be an interesting, tight base approach.
Yeah.
It's a public beach, and all the crew go out in the morning to brush down all the sandcastles that people have left behind, and apparently, it's used for cockling, and it's not unusual to find vehicles and cocklers around the runway areas. So yeah, it's quite a few bits to think about today.
You never mentioned any of this earlier on.
We're about to make our approach, but before we do, just a quick thank you to Vertigo Covers for sponsoring this episode. I have a custom-made cover for my aeroplane from Vertigo and I'm thrilled with it. It's easy to put on and take off and it comes with its own storage bag. If you park your aircraft outside like I do or go touring, a good quality cover is a must. Vertigo's modern designs and materials originate from the marine world and so they're extremely hard wearing and will protect your aircraft from pretty much everything that the British weather can throw at it. For a modern, cost-effective and lightweight cover for all conditions, then look no further than Vertigo. On my phone call to Barra this morning, I told them that I'd be making a low approach and go around initially to assess the runway state and to get my bearings. And when I call them up on the radio, they have an update.
Barra information, good afternoon. Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, 16 miles to the east, inbound, request aerodrome information.
Bravo Mike India Victor, Barra information, basic service. We have no reported traffic. Surface wind 070, 07 knots. Tide is still inside the markers of 29 and 33 by approximately 200 metres and just approaching the threshold of runway 25. If you'd like to fly me overhead to have a look at the conditions of the beach.
Roger, all copied, basic service and runway 07, we'll make a low approach and go around following a left-hand circuit. Golf Bravo Mike India Victor.
Then QNH 1022.
QNH 1022, Golf India Victor.
As pilots, we're used to standard radio exchanges. It's usually all very routine. The wind speed, direction, runway in use, the runway's wet, and so on and so forth. Being passed information about where the tide is and processing that information in order to make decisions is a new one on me, so it begins to consume my thinking.
We're going in on runway 07.
Yeah.
The runway is 0725.
Yeah.
The main, where we're landing is fine. It sounds like the tide is still just at the end of the threshold. You know, what does that mean really? Does that mean, what's the surface of the runway like, you know?
I think you're going to have to just go and have a look, but you won't be able to tell really from here, will you?
It sounds like the tide is right there, doesn't it?
It'll be close, isn't it?
To complicate things further, Barra is pretty strict about its landing slots. Loganair operates scheduled flights there, and the airport doesn't want private pilots unfamiliar with Barra getting in their way. We were going to land just before the first Loganair flight of the day arrived.
My instinct at the moment is we wait for the Loganair to land and then we come back, but...
Well, that's not a bad plan. It's due in at 1:15, that's 20 minutes time. I think the good plan, you're probably right, why don't we go and have a look at it?
Yeah.
Get an idea of exactly what we're in for, and
Yeah.
then you can make a decision then once you've got that information.
So then my thought turns to endurance. How much time and fuel do we have? What's the decision point to give up and go somewhere else? And this is when I realise that the whole new experience of landing here is starting to overwhelm me. I struggle to do even basic maths.
We need half an hour to get to Glasgow. We need half an hour of fuel. This is diversion I'm thinking about now.
Virgin, yeah.
Half an hour of holding time. Reserve, I mean.
Yeah.
So that's an hour's fuel we need. And half an hour, 40 minutes. So 1 hour, 40 minutes is what we need, really, to get back to Oban, is what we need in the tanks.
We've got that.
1 hour 40. We had 4 hours. So when is the 1 hour 40? So we took off at 1:08. 1:08. So can you just have a think about that? What is the time? At what time do we reach 1 hour 40? If we had 4 hours in the tanks.
Right, well, so we had 4 hours in the tanks we took off. We took
at 20 past, say.
20 past. So 4 hours, that would give us 20 past 4. Okay?
4 hours is 20 past 4, yeah?
20 past 4. So we take off 1
So
hour.
we take off, let's take off 2 hours,
2
20
hours.
past
2.
20 past 2,
Yeah.
plus 20, yeah?
Yeah.
20 past 2, 2:40 is our...
23.
Huh? 23 is
23.
our cut-off time, yeah?
I've let myself get distracted by the fuel planning conversation and I haven't really been looking out for the airfield or identified the runways. At just over 2 miles away, the FISO then passes me another update with yet more information to process.
India Victor, Barra information.
Golf India Victor, entered the ATZ, descending through altitude 2,000 feet, left-hand downwind, runway 07. for a low approach and go around.
Roger, AFS have just inspected runway 07. The surface is wet with large areas of standing water. The tide is just at the threshold of runway 25 now, and there is bird activity down at the end of runway 07. It's just for your information as well, there seems to be a bank of fog that was holding out beyond the islands, but it looks like it's encroaching now to the islands to the east and also to Eriskay.
Copy, Victor. Hang on a minute, where is the runway?
North India Victor reports. Final for low approach and go around runway 07. Surface wind 08008 knots and a new QNH 1021.
We'll go QNH 1021, copy, Victor.
Now I'm lost. I've flown past the runway on downwind and didn't see it.
Well,
Where's the
look,
runway?
you're here, John.
Yeah.
The runway's behind you, mate. Look there.
Oh, it's right up.
I'm completely confused, overwhelmed. My brain just hasn't been able to compute all the information I'm being given, while at the same time finding an indistinct landing spot.
Go around this way.
Make a right turn, yeah?
I thought I'd done my research, thought everything through, and adequately planned for the flight. But now I realise I've made a really bad job of it.
I'm all over the place, I don't know what I'm doing.
Light's over there.
I'm staggered by my error and relying on my friend John to get me back on track.
There it is.
Where?
There.
Oh,
see the
right,
wind's
yeah.
up. Got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just there.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, yeah, I see it, yeah.
Okay. Got our bearings back.
Copy, Victor's final for runway 07 now.
India Victor, runway 07, low approach and go around at your discretion. Surface wind 08008 knots.
I finally locate the runway. My mistake? Not doing a standard overhead join. I joined downwind to get in ahead of the Loganair passenger aircraft, and then became overwhelmed by all the unfamiliar radio telephony and decision-making tasks. A terrible case of losing complete situational awareness.
I see the marker, the little orange marker. That's very wet, isn't it?
That's very wet, mate, that is.
The beeping noise you can hear is my undercarriage warning alarm. I've not extended the gear because I'm not landing this time, but the aircraft's sensors think I am.
There's lots of birds on there.
Bird activity looks very soft.
Very wet.
My overflight of the runway confirms my decision to wait a little longer for the tide to recede further.
There's the marker.
Yeah. Golf India Victor, we've left the ATZ to the northeast, climbing through 1,100 feet. Not landing at this time. We're going to hold off to the north of you, and we'll come back to you to make another approach if you can say a suitable time in your schedule to try another approach.
I negotiate another landing attempt in about 20 minutes with Barra, which gives me the time to reflect on what just happened.
That was horrible, John. I just couldn't see the runway. I didn't know where it was, because
No.
it doesn't look like a runway, believe it or
That's
not.
what we were talking about earlier
And
on.
I got completely disorientated. If I hadn't had you here,
Yeah, you...
I wouldn't have known where I was. I got completely confused. What a cock-up. It's amazing, because the place doesn't have any of the architecture that you, as a pilot, just kind of instinctively can see.
No.
And I think I completely misjudged how difficult that was going to be to find.
I thought it'd be more obvious than that, but we probably should have known better because it's a beach.
This is turning out to be a more interesting video than the one we'd originally planned. You know, I quite like to show an air of professionalism
Well, that's
on
gone
my
out the window then,
videos.
hasn't it?
Yeah.
We're now getting a good view of the fog that we were warned about on that last approach, and it does seem as if it's advancing on Barra. Barra is a tiny island that doesn't have many places to stay overnight and a population of just over 1,000. Furthermore, the tides are so high at the moment, if we parked our aircraft on the beach overnight, there's a reasonable chance it would end up being submerged by morning. Under no circumstances can we get stuck on the ground today.
We need to monitor this fog.
The thing is, we can't be stuck on it too long.
No. Brakes. Undercarriage is down 3 greens.
I prepare for my second approach and plan to land.
That beach looks a lot better now,
It
actually.
looks better. It looks like you're a bit tight. Look at that fog, we may not be here too long, matey. Oh, you got it visual?
Yeah.
Low ground ahead of you. Get 3 greens.
I see the marker.
Got it?
Yep. Yeah, where's the other marker? I see the other marker.
Got it?
Yeah. We need to come down. Copy Victor, final runway 07 to land.
India Victor, runway 07, surface wind 080, 07 knots, land at your discretion.
Copy Victor.
Earlier the better.
Come over these power cables. Speed's good.
That's good. That's all looking good. Speed off a touch when you can. Watch your touchdown, keep your nose gear well up.
Popping it down. Here we go.
Hold her back, that's it. Bingo.
We're on the hard bit.
Bingo. Keep on moving. Well done. That was a tricky old approach, that one.
The approach was a challenge. The touchdown was absolutely fine. Very smooth, in fact. I was looking forward to exploring the airfield here, but it does seem as if the fog is still moving towards us.
We can see the fog coming in, so I understand you've got an inbound, but we would like to keep the engine running and turn around and head back out, if that's okay with you, Golf Victor.
After a few minutes, I line up on 07 again and depart back to Oban.
Taking off, report 10 miles, Golf Victor. So soft field takeoff, full power we have, temperatures and pressures are in the green, bringing the nose up. We're off.
Stop.
Well, that was an experience.
An experience it was, but I leave with a huge sense of regret. Regret that I made such a meal of that visit, regret that I didn't get to stop and look around Barra, and regret that I've just subjected my aeroplane to a very salty wash. On the advice of my excellent engineering team at Aero Anglia, I'm keeping the gear down for my flight back to Oban so it can dry out, blow off as much of the salt and sand as it can, and not let that contamination run into the wheel wells and sensors. And after landing, it was time for John's special task. For me, flying is all about adventures, exploring new places, trying new things, and today was all about that, but it's also about what you can learn from it, and there were plenty of opportunities to learn from today. The following morning we flew India Victor straight back to my maintenance organisation, Aero Anglia in Suffolk. They sprayed and greased the key components and were happy that we'd done a good job of cleaning the salt and sand away. I share these adventures, warts and all. I might be almost an 800-hour private pilot and class rating instructor, but I still have the capacity to get things spectacularly wrong, and I'm not afraid to admit my mistakes when I make them. Thank you for watching. Please do me a favour and hit the like and subscribe button here on YouTube. It really does help with my channel reach. And if you did like the video, please share it with your friends and flying buddies, because there's a chance they may enjoy watching along as well. This video has been sponsored by Vertigo Covers, makers of modern, lightweight and affordable aircraft covers. Until next time, fly safely, my friends.
I've had a very hard day. Very hard day. Got moaned at for low approaches. Moaned at for not keeping a heading. And moaned at for something I can't remember what I was moaned at for. But apart from that, it's alright. Got back. One piece. Airplanes in one piece.